All right, hopefully it's recording. Let's test it out real quick. Go ahead and share my entire screen. Sweet. Now I don't know if it's actually capturing my camera as well, but we will find out. I guess that's me up in the corner. Put myself, I guess right here. Can I make myself bigger? Yeah, I guess that works. Hey, look, I'm officially a YouTuber. All I need is a green screen. Anyway, so I wanted to continue with kind of where we left off, pick up on some just, more general modeling things. It's kind of hard without you guys like here kind of asking the question. But one of the first ones I wanted to go over was basically how to loft a surface. Pretty simple. In our case, I was setting this up also last time and then also showing twin motions to my computer graphics class in a little bit more detail. So there are some things on that. So let's move this real quick. Otherwise, I got a feeling it'll be in the way. Type in show and bring up essentially where we picked up off in the last video. Not trying to make this too long, but I mean, gosh, there's just so many tips and tricks, guys, that at the end of the day, you really do have to just learn this program yourself. No one's gonna teach it to you, right? And even arguably myself, I do a very minimal job kind of on purpose so that you will go through the woods, right? If I just hand you a map, it doesn't really show you how to get through the woods. Um, Hopefully that metaphor makes sense. But just kind of deleting what I did last time. If you need to take a look at it, of course. And I think I'll do some more structure onto this, and kind of continue some of the things like modeling structure and glass and mullions. And some of you guys have a lot of questions about that, and I think you're almost going on emotion, right? And I get that. I was a student too. I know exactly what it is to panic while literally being forced to use this program, but I'm really glad that I did. And I know that everybody who goes through it, it always sucks for them, but they're always very appreciative after because, I mean, shoot, now you get to make stuff literally out of nowhere for free. Well, essentially after you get the program. But in our case, I think let's start off a new one today. Let's see. Want to make a lofted surface? Can't do that with a flat surface. Otherwise, it's just going to loft a flat surface. In our case, we'll use this one or this one. This looks pretty good for today, but I don't want to mess it up, so I'll make a copy. We'll go ahead and put it on our C plane. And recording screen is definitely dragging me down right now. That's okay. I'm also running dual screens and dual cameras. So I guess that probably has something to do with it. Anyway, let's get this set up. So we want to loft this as a surface. That way in twin motions that it actually looks like a smooth surface. So in our case, I kind of have to get rid of these boundary layers. And as you can see, some guy put them all together. Gosh, who could do that? In our case, we'll type explode, enter, and we'll essentially get all those lines exploded. Now, I know it looks like I selected one line, but just to kind of show you, and this is why you want to work in multiple views and viewports. And if you can't see anything, always click your favorite button, zoom selected. That way you always know where you are. And as you can see, I selected more than one line. In my case, you can actually select all those lines by coming to the extents right there and essentially getting rid of it. And it's okay. I do have a copy, so can't even mess up. And theoretically, I guess I could download it all over again too, if I really just mess up. That's looking pretty good. That's actually what we need to make a surface. Now, we don't need these pieces, so we'll get rid of those. Well, we probably need, nah, don't need any of those. The seaplane probably kind of get in the way. Let's move that a little bit. But just to zoom in it, obviously we have kind of like a wireframe. It should look undulated or sloped, right? In our case, you'll take every single one of them. Now, this is where it does start to get tricky because whoever drew this hopefully drew it all in one direction. So for instance, direction, quite literally meaning what I mean. So north to south, north to south. Now, if somebody were to draw it this way, north to south, south to north, north to south, south, you get the picture. That would actually make the geometry flipped. And you'll see what I mean, and we'll see if, honestly, I can't remember how I drew it. So LOFT for loft. We'll hit enter. And in our case, this should actually give us a preview. Not sure why it's not. Hmm, usually it does. We'll go with rebuild, and voila. I guess obviously simplification was not in order. The higher this number, so usually I do pick rebuild with, because as you can see, it's trying to make the best of it, right? It has 10 in here, and that's these lines right there. And those are important, right? Because you can suddenly look like 1964, or sorry, Mario 64, right? Very polygonal characters. Whereas, of course, the more information we have, or the more control points, the more smooth that it looks. In our case, if you're going to throw grass on it in twin motions, doesn't really matter. I'd go with what your computer can handle. In my case, you kind of have to guess, and it really depends on the surface, right? So I'm just going to go to 300. So you can imagine 300 little spaces. We'll go ahead and hit loft. 300 might have been a bit much. It is loading. However, okay, yeah, not too bad. As you can see, it doesn't get all the space because it got some random geometry in there. Ooh, and it's kind of telling us something, right? Like possibly something right here and possibly something right there. Let's check it out. So I'm going to edit undo. Oh, it looks like we have some of those weird instances. Oh, yep, and we forgot to get rid of something. Now in this case, I would probably attach those, but let's see what happens. Loft, better. Let's try it with actually putting those together. And again, I can't really mess up here. I'll edit undo, and I'll actually join those to make kind of like a complete circuit as if it was kind of still a piece. And so I'll hit join, enter. And of course, anything that is touching perfectly will, of course, attach to itself. It was looking pretty sweet. You know, I might actually try this with the closed method because it would actually make straight lines on the edges now that I think about it. Let's try it both ways. Loft. To be fair, I hope that you're not rendering the road, but that's actually okay. Although it does look like one of these lines is flipped or like it's grabbing onto something. You guys see that? You can tell a lot from the shape, but if you notice there's like a lot of disparity off, like just like a random object in there, right? That's definitely not right. And it could mean that there's actually maybe even an extra line in there. Although it doesn't look like it, does it? Let's check it out a little closer. Hmm. It could be because of this piece and the way that it's having to go up here and then go back again. Could be it. It could just be too complex. Or, I mean, my first thing is like we'll look for like a double line in there. Oops. But I don't see any. And usually you can kind of tell from the screen. Ooh, I think we found it. Get out of here. But as you can see, yeah, you definitely want to double check those things. So we'll take all the pieces again, try again, loft, and arguably looking better each time, right? Not so bad. It still looks like it's having a hard time coming back. And it looks like something's in there too. So again, I probably am missing a line, but for the sake of tutorial, at least this is kind of a cheat code, right? You know that there's maybe some extra lines in there. However, I did want to show, just in case you accidentally do ever draw it the wrong way, and it looks like it did. You guys see how it kind of like folds in on itself? You do want to isolate that, and this, it can be hard the more layers that you have, but you'd almost want to take that piece and watch this because you don't actually see anything. You'll type in flip. It'll basically flip that around. Again, nothing happened, but I hit enter. So try it again. May have flipped the wrong one, not gonna lie. Wasn't paying attention too much, and I did. And again, keep in mind, this is like a bad wire. Sometimes you can make it much worse. So I usually like to go back. So Command Z, and it will actually say undo flip. So I mean, that's a good way. And it still highlights the one that I did flip. So I'm going to try this one instead. Spacebar. Oh, it enacted loft again. So I'm going to type in flip, enter, and see if that does it. But since it's like a bad wire too, I could just be making the next one, and I made the next one, right? So I might need to actually take all four, or again, just really look at where it's going, right? You can see it fold in on itself. However, if you're not going to have that part in your model, does it really matter? Don't get me wrong, I know the inner perfectionist in all of us, so I'll get it for us today. In my case, I won't undo the flip there because it got better results. So I'll take all the one. Ooh, that could cause a lofting problem too. You guys see that? We don't need two separate lines there. So let's join them. Sweet. Make sure that they join because sometimes they're just not actually touching because that could do it, right? I don't actually know if it needs to be flipped or not. So let's try again. Loft and look at that. Beautiful. And again, I think there is actually something in there, as you can see. But what I'm trying to say is in this preview, I mean that's kind of the debt. Oop, there it is. Oh, there it is. Anyway, let's take that. Loft again. Man, it's just getting better and better every time. Now, the best way to get this last part is to just fade it. Right, get a point right here and just yeah, you can loft a point too. Of course, that line too. I won't be that much of a perfectionist today. But the reason I do want to get it uncrinkly, if that's a word, is because, well, when I go into that rendered mode or when I go into twin motions, I do want it to be this somewhat seamless surface. Like those are going to show up. I mean, maybe not if I put grass on them. But it looks like I do have another line in there. And as you can see, it really starts to fold in on itself. That could be resolved with adding, like I added 300, I could jump to 600. That might soften a little bit and actually tends to actually start to look real, especially if I'm putting rocks there. And anyway, not that that really matters for today. Um, but again, as you can see, it definitely makes this part of the surface pretty good. However, not quite every little piece. So I have a feeling I just have some more pieces in there. Again, I can delete that. Could be multiple objects, actually. Oh, let's zone in on that one. I don't think it's this point, but I mean, why not bring it back a little bit, make it a little softer. Of course, that starts to soften the slope, quite literally. Again, let's try that again. It's cool. It actually tells you how many curves it is. So in this case, 33 curves. Thought we had 35, but maybe not. Loft. And again, something seems off. Like it's trying to flip onto that piece. And no, that might not need to be a closed curve. In my case, explode. I know this is kind of the long tutorial for just lofting a space, but hey, at least you'll know how to do it. In my case, it just keeps getting worse. So I have a feeling I drew it in the wrong direction. I'm gonna have to be flipping some lines. That's okay. One at a time. Flip. Just kind of show you. And this does take time. Another way to do this, and I hate to be super advanced about it, but I mean, Grasshopper is great. And, anytime that I can show it is pretty sweet too. Hopefully you can see this in the recording. Um, I guess as long as it's on this desktop. Anyway, we'll find out on today's episode of computers. Anyway, in my case, actually, I can make a really simple object. I'll type in brep. So I just double click, typed in brep so that I have an object. I could also just type in curve. Another way to do it. Again, this is my input. And lo and behold, the exact same commands are in Grasshopper, but they're all stringified, right? So in my case, I'd set all these curves and have them selected, as you can see. So I'll right click, set multiple curves. Awesome. It'll actually gray out, indicating it's good. If it turns red, not good. Yellow, almost good. Anyway, so we'll connect that to curves, right? In this case, it'll actually tell you, hey, I'm looking for some curves, and I've got some options. So we'll put that together. And we want it to turn into a surface. As you can see, there's probably some options in there. So surface, I want that to turn into surface. And as you can see, I need to apply some options. Very often it'll actually say one locally derived value. So in that case, it's anywhere between 0 and 1. So 0, comma, 1, or sorry, greater than. And I don't know. I just do a slider of like 10. Oop. Obviously, 1 is not the answer. 0. What do you want? Usually it actually tells us. One value inherited from one source. Oh, as you can see, counter is not the method. So we'll delete that. Oh, we don't need any emojis. But as you can see, that flipped is causing chaos and it's actually closing in on itself. I'm trying to take that option off. So let's see. Double click, loft. There should be a lofting option or control point loft. As you can see, there is many lofts. Loft options. Purple. So as you can see, we can really start to isolate some of those. And it tells us, I know it sounds like absolute chaos, but closed, definitely don't want closed. So you can do a toggle, right? And you can tell it false or true. So in my case, closed, definitely want that to be false. Let's see. Ooh, I'm getting a red sign. Maybe I need some more stuff. Let's see. Oh, not sure why it's not letting me scroll. Okay, there we go. Next thing, adjustments. Yeah, adjust. One locally defined value, false. Actually, I want to see what true does. Does it just leave it? Let me click on you. Or it's just telling me that it's set to false. No, but it's untrue. It's true. Can I give it a 0 and 1? Very often, if you give like a 1 value, it's true. 0 value, false. There's 1 value inherited. A little bit of troubleshooting. That's okay. Wonder if I just type in true. A lot of these programs are, ooh, I can put in time. That's kind of conceptual. Let's try the 0 1 method. So 0, 1, and 10. Obviously, there's a 0 and a 1 in there. In my case, 1 did change it. You guys saw that? You should see some changes. In my case, this is just so that I can isolate the flip. But as you can see, if you want me to do more of this too, again, I'm probably losing everybody right now. But in my case, you can do it essentially one at a time. But if you do want to turn it off, just essentially go back to a preview mode. We'll save that for later. We'll come back to it. I'm sure we can use it again. But if that was too much complexity, just loft it is I think the best way. But I do want to close those again, just because I think it looked better with them closed. Oh, not loft them. Oh, that reminds me another way to do this. So in my case, join those. You can do these actually like 3, 4 at a time. Sometimes it yields better results, and you can start to realize, of course, which one is actually flipped. And I think it's actually this guy. Flip them. Then again, you can do this thing where you accidentally flip all of them except like the last one that was actually correct. So again, it's, you know, it is what it is. But as you can see, it gets better and better. Flip, might as well. In fact, you can actually have it change colors when it is a certain direction. And what that means is the normal. Anyway, the normal of a line is already enough to figure out. But as you can see, it can be a struggle. But in our case, for the sake of doing something, I mean, that's the golden area right there. And I can even bring it into twin motion to show you eventually what that means. What it does mean is it means it looks a lot less like stairs. So we'll loft it. Again, not a big deal, especially once we get to a render mode. However, I flipped it into oblivion. See that? Dang it. Anyway, that's okay. I gotta fix it. Oh crap, which one was it? Definitely that one. Bam. Flip. Gotta stop flipping stuff. Very dangerous in a situation where you have 33 curves. But hopefully something learned, right? To the very least. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. After all, it's just an idea, guys. And below, I mean, that's most of the part that we're using. And you can still actually chop it up too. So since that it is a surface, and be really careful, but you can still actually wire cut it as well. So say take a whole circle out of it, Probably can't see that circle. There it is. Pretty sure it's got to be a solid, so you can take actually this poly surface. We can offset surface, enter, and of course choose the direction. In my case, I want to go with like 5 feet, and I want to go the opposite direction. So I just click on the surface, enter. Now I may make a wild one. Obviously, if there's any errors, and it's kind of nice is you can see like the arrows really kind of reveal some of those errors too. In my case, it'll freeze while recording. It is what it is, I mean, just one of those things. Especially while you're using Zoom and getting the camera and all that stuff. I don't know. I might just do this off of Zoom because it's a bit much. We'll give it a second. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, thought about it. Maybe here's me. There you go. But yeah, now we got a 5 foot surface, and as you can see, it can make some of those things even worse. As you can see, I'm gonna go back on that one and just leave it because for the sake of rendering, right? This is also where you can kind of really start to stretch it, turn it into a mountain, and you really start to see where it's getting flipped, right? Or having a hard time stretching. Actually, that looks like it's not flipped at all. Well, that one looks like it's flipped. Anyway, I'm not trying to say flip anymore. But let's model some more things, although I do think it's a lot easier. I could apply this actually to my other surface, especially if I was just using it for rendering. So I don't know. We'll take this, we'll copy it. Because I would say this is actually a lot easier to work with. And I'll just kind of keep it off to the side before we get to twin motions. The next thing I wanted to show, and I know it sounds like a cop out, but it really is Pinterest. I'm not gonna lie. There's just something kind of easy for my mind to gravitate towards and go, ooh, I kind of want to do something like that. Ooh, I kind of want to do something like that. And I'm not saying copy Pinterest per se, but my goodness, if you were a learning architect, I mean, that is basically how I learned is to analyze the things that I enjoyed and wondered why I enjoyed them. In my case, something like this is pretty interesting, right? And I can show you how to model something like that. But I did want to point out that this one is like a diagram, right? It's your detail, right? But if this is a 5'10" man, well, and this is maybe a 9 foot ceiling or so, look how much poche, right? And don't get me wrong, you're not expected to know exactly what goes into this building yet, right? But at the same time, like some of you guys still just put a line for your section. Some of you caught on to at least 24 inches, but even a simple building section like this, I mean, you're talking 1.5 feet is just the structural component. However, you may not know that all yet. And again, there's nothing wrong with copying. I mean, seriously, you think lawyers, like they're like, oh no, I'm going to do this case my way, right? I'm going to design a whole new way to do a case. No, it's like playing a ball game, right? Now you can come up with different plays and people can start to play these plays. But I mean, what an honor it would be to one day go to Pinterest and see your work on there and influencing students. I don't think it's an egotistical thing for me. In fact, I'd be absolutely enjoyed. But in my case, let's get that photo on there. Oh, wants me to, usually this window comes up, right? You can open the file, import file. I like to insert that file. In my case, somewhere in the universe, it went somewhere. Oh, oh, usually it goes to your C plane, but let's find out. No. All right. Well, I don't want to move that guy per se. That's why you can't just drag and drop things sometimes. Let's try that again. Oh, thinking about it. Import file? No. Might be really small somewhere. Because I mean, this is like the size of many acres. So let's just type in that picture. I was trying to be cool. I'll drag it onto my desktop. Oh, sorry, it's got to go to my desktop first, guys. Then you drag it on. Oh, maybe not. We'll just do it the cool way. Oh, you can. Yeah, turns out you just need to draw it first. In our case, Obviously I'd want to scale this obviously to like something that, I want to use it for. So, well, first things first, in case you forgot, we can go to properties. I usually go to the material layer itself and just really add some transparency just because it's like too much, man. And then I can't even see my drawings. In my case, I really just want the proportioning, right? Maybe I want to understand the system. Maybe I'm using kind of concrete and steel. And I don't know what this is, right? I'm a second year student. I'm like, man, I don't know what this is, but I do know it's a second skin system. I do recognize that there's a truss system here. You guys see that? And that it's connected with some of the major components of the inside of the building. So again, I see this exterior skin. I see actually my vapor layer or, my enclosure layer, and then the structure, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't even have to know what this building is, right? Now, it doesn't tell me exactly what it is, but it tells me a lot about it, right? In terms of how it's structured. But in my case, I do know generally how tall a person is. So we'll go to my top view. I'm gonna hide some of this stuff just because it's starting to get in the way. So hide it. Anyway, there we go. Hopefully I set my mic correct. Otherwise, I'll just look like an absolute crazy man. But I want to draw a line first, and some of us need to hear this every day or something. But I'll go with either 18 inches. I don't want to maybe guess. This is actually much more likely that he's 6 foot. So in my case, fake it till I make it. There is also a slight perspective aspect to it, so he's probably slightly smaller. I'm gonna go with 5'6", at least optically. You don't have to be that technical. You could probably just put in 6. But for the sake of argument, then we'll scale this image to this man. So I'll take the image, scale, enter, take my base point. That's what it's asking for. I do want it to lock onto something, so make sure you do. Well, lock will take his feet, again, optically 5'6", and of course align it to the other edge of our piece. Oh, looks like you got the midpoint. Let's try that again. Endpoint, feet, and there it is. So now when we scale something, or like we can check something, right? So now we can do a dimension. I mean, what a better way to figure out a building, right? I mean, wonderful technology. And it's exactly 22.32 of something. Again, I still haven't fixed this, my bad. No. Take the image. As you can see, I'm a bit animated. Double click on it. Oh, it's on my other screen. There we go. Inch decimal. No, man. You go to your length units, and of course, feet in inches. By man, I was really close. I said 18 inches, 4 and 1/4 off. Anyway, it could be me. Also my optical. Anyway, but that's actually pretty darn close. And let's get a value for that entire dimension from ceiling to floor. Man, it really is going to do that. But I guess it seems to be actually in inches, and that's actually closer to 5 feet. Survey says, yeah. So I'm not joking when I say, a majority of buildings, I wouldn't even say architecture, is structure. Now, what of course makes it architecture is when it's artistically put together for a creative experience, right? In this case, your project. However, let's use it, right? So in my case, maybe I'm thinking the structure and I don't know, I'm thinking I-beams and I realize I start to, well, that's exactly what I need to do. And quite literally, fake it till I make it. Maybe it's for the sake of, um, you know, the model. So again, I'm not trying to be, nobody's going to come up and measure it. I'm just faking it till I make it. My, what do you call it? Not professional, but the perfectionist in me is like, come on, you gotta get it right. But I am holding shift, so I do know that it's relatively straight. And again, space bar to enact the same thing. And man, shoot, I would just fake it till I make it, guys. I mean, you could put in the dimensions relatively close, right? You saw I just kind of did the dimension, but after all, it is an image. And what's great about doing this, guys, don't let anybody ever talk you out of doing precedents because you'll learn this as you get older that there is nothing new under the sun. Essentially, everybody's just kind of twisting, putting two things that were done together to make a quote unquote new thing. But also the way that something is applied can also mean new too. So, like the Eiffel Tower somewhere, Las Vegas, obviously has its value somewhere, right? In my case, there's probably an easier way to draw this so I don't have to do that over and over again. So I will check this out. Fake it till you make it. We're gonna make one of these. Boop, boop, and boop. Enter. And I'm basically just gonna copy that over and over again. That way I have a similar part. And now this is where I disregard the image. If it happens to align, great. If it doesn't, oh well, right? We'll chop it up to perspective. But at least in this case, I know exactly what I'm making now. And I can move things along, right? As you can see, my column is kind of in there. Make sure you get that endpoint. I'm going to take my mid and my point off because it's kind of getting in the way. Just need that endpoint, right? I want it quick. I want it easy. As you can see, sometimes it ain't easy. But I do probably should lock my image. I guess I did. We'll take those pieces. I can join them, but I do want to close my object. So let's try that one more time. My bad. Again, fake it till you make it, right? Nobody needs to know I don't know what I'm doing. We'll let the engineer guy do that. Actually, it looks a little better. Oh, too much. And Command Z. So we'll take that whole piece and I'll join it together. If I didn't know if it was closed, I would even do close curve just to make sure, because eventually I am going to extrude these parts, as you guys know, and flip them, right? As necessary, bend them and maybe follow my floor plan, right? So in my case, I got some other parts. I don't really need those parts. Like after all, I'm just doing a twin motions model, trying to fake it till I make it. I do need a floor, so rectangle, favorite tool of all time. Take some rectangles. Doesn't want me to do rectangle. Oh, there we go. Now I'm gonna go with a thick floor. And again, this could be potentially, well, actually the length of your floor. So if you have like a 20-foot floor, I mean, just shoot, draw the whole thing. Keep in mind, I could use this for my section and I can use it to build my model. And this kind of comes with time. And well, if you take my computer graphics, we definitely draw things in 2 dimensions first, not three. And some of you guys like to make it like midair. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't do that. I used to, at least for the first 3 days until I got some help with some friends and, asked them. I was annoying. I was very annoying. And, that's how you made friends. But in my case, I do want to get some more parts. I'm going to show you how to do some windows, some mullions. But this part's already cool. I don't know. Maybe I got a cool ceiling treatment. For goodness sakes. It is after all paths. You can't draw one thing at a time, by the way. So I can take like an arc. We'll take, I don't know, that piece. Come on, man. Where'd you go? Oh, I didn't choose arc. That's why. In my case, it does want a center point. Like for instance, I think it says, fake it till I make it. I'm gonna go right here. Boop, boop. Right. I could also take this, mirror it, and knowing, now I need my midpoint. Of course I do. Midpoint. Boop. And of course, control that. Also, take those. Might as well put them together now and join them with a line. Now, you probably guessed it. The thing I forgot to do is, of course, organize myself. I'd probably call this at least something different, right? Ceiling, structure, beams, concrete, you know, fake it till you make it. Now, to be fair, I just honestly picked this image right off the internet. So, doing it live. But that's looking pretty good. In this case, these are actually vertical elements, so I need to make that in a different direction, but it might be useful to what? Get that profile shape. In my case, at least the length. Now, I don't actually know how thick it is, so I'm just gonna guess that is something like that. Again, hopefully you can actually see what I'm doing there. I did give some transparency, but maybe we need a different color on that. You guys know my favorite color. It's actually not my favorite color, but I do see it pretty well. It does come up in recording pretty well. Red, green. I was just trying to pick whichever one you can see in the screen recording. Anyway, lost track of words. But again, this is where I kind of find everything that I need. Oh, that looks like an important part. And I might need that a couple times. So I'm just gonna fake it till I make it. Hold shift and kind of get this kind of blinder thing going on. However, I do want this to be congruent. So I might draw this one line at a time. I mean, shoot, you can always trim it. Holding shift. Kind of want to take that exact link, so I'll just copy it. I can't really tell what's going on there. So again, I know that it works like a blind, like blinds that I put kind of embedded. In my case, just draw that profile, take the whole thing and join it. So again, just as you can see, I'm kind of taking little bits and pieces. Looks like I need another piece of structure, rectangle. And again, this isn't even something you have to do to a picture. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. If you're one that kind of struggles with dimensions and knowing everything, I don't know, if you look at a construction book and you're like, bro, I'm traumatized. Um, you can draw it, right? And I would say the more that you draw it, the more that you're teaching your brain, just like a piano, just like you teach yourself an instrument. Maybe that's just me, but you can be autodidactic too. Promise. Anyway, looks like that's a circle. Hey, let's get another vertical in there. Of course, spell circle correctly. Circle. In my case, try to find a midpoint. If you wanted to be a perfectionist, yes. Let's do it the right way. Let's get the exact dimension. You could even type in length, enter, and it'll tell you the lengths right there. Of course, in this case, 33 and a half inches. Dang. Anyway, for some reason, it shows me the right lengths in units, but I guess my dimensions not cut up. In my case, we know our proofs of geometry, and you can, of course, take a midpoint and get a circle out of there. Now, of course, I don't know why I'm not able to spell circle today. There we go. But as you can see, perfect diameter, perfect circle, and we got. So as you can see, I made some of my horizontal parts, but I also got my vertical parts. And so keep in mind, that comes with time. And of course, just kind of understanding. I'm not even going to bother making some of that stuff because it probably won't even come up. And if I did, I'd probably simplify it to a rectangle. Let's face it. Why work harder when you can work smarter? In fact, let's make two. Copy. Oh, man, I accidentally deleted it. How lame is that? Trying to be cool. But as you can see, I'm trying to follow that perspective too. And actually, now that I look at this blind thing, it looks like these little like V shapes. I guess so the water can kind of tread off that. Anyway, it is what it is. But you could get down to all these pieces. Don't get me wrong. Like the more you draw, the more that you start to understand and know. And I know we only have a week, and maybe even arguably when you're watching this video, you have not a week. But let's go over it, right? So I do want to model some of this stuff, and very often I kind of get it off the page. I'll make a copy and start making those. Now, this is something I actually do in one of my D3 projects where you just build a precedent in Rhino, and we get pretty hands-on about it. But in my case, I'm going to take my horizontal items, stuff that I know is essentially horizontal, such as this piece, and there might be varying lengths there. So the first thing that I want to do is probably get stuff out of other stuff. And so just kind of fake it till I make it. You can imagine that concrete sits on that I-beam. And, you know, we don't have to settle for something that's crooked. There we go. Right. But in my case, I don't know. Let's say I have a really long floor or I need to make multiple copies. I mean, maybe I got a large span and I kind of want to get that idea of that tiling. Right? So maybe it's like 3 tiles long. And again, I know everybody kind of has a different project, but again, this is why I said you should grid anything and everything, whether you have a radial pattern or whether you got both square and radial, whether you got triangular and hexagonal, which is actually my favorite, but because you can flip it like so many different ways and you can mirror it all the time. And I mean, who doesn't like honeycombs? The strongest geometry and nature. Anyway, so I have my reasons, but again, I would take this and I guess I don't need that exterior beam anymore. So I'll copy this one. I mean, kind of build it in plan, right? I mean, it's almost like I'm building a section. Arguably, it's like I'm taking little pieces that I've drafted and putting them together. Again, I don't expect you to be an engineer anytime soon, but let's say we have closed structure. And as you can see, if I didn't talk so much, I'd probably go a lot faster. I do want to mirror that. I use mirror a lot, right? Because I do a lot of stuff in 2D first. However, the midpoint, not always good, but hey, today it works. And again, I do want to tile this as well. There was actually an enclosure on that box, so I'll just, I don't know, kind of fake it. In my case, do something like that. It's not really enough time, so you can stretch things. So for instance, check this out. You stretch things. Um, that is kind of hard to see now, so let's go to like an orange. My bad. So anyway, we'll take that piece and you can stretch things. I don't know, I might just put a beam here or something. In my case, boop boop and fake it till I make it. Kind of like a little space in there because that's more realistic. That's Toy Story 4. You know what I'm talking about. And very often this has to latch onto something. So I don't know, just some sort of structure, right? I mean, after all, I'm just maybe drawing this as a detail, or maybe I'm just going to crochet it anyway. So again, maybe I'm just using it for modeling. But stretching something, again, type in stretch. Good tool. Man, I cannot spell today. We'll take that piece and I'll basically just stretch it. It is going to take it point by point, so you do need to select those points, enter. What? Why aren't you working, stretch? Well, as you can see, I can stretch 1 point. I guess another thing we can do is just move those points. So, um, function key F10, you can get your points, and actually you can move those points too. I forget this is an AutoCAD. In AutoCAD, you can definitely use stretch, but of course, you can do it in this program too. But that's looking pretty good. Let's take that piece and fake it till we make it. Again, I'm kind of doing too much work. You really don't actually need to do this much. I just want to show you that you can do stuff that's really cool because it is really cool. As you can see, I'm going to need some stretch right there. I need some stretch Armstrong right there. If you don't know what that toy is, I'm sorry. And as you can see, I'm going to have to fake it even more till I make it. Again, maybe there's some structure and I don't know. Shoot, nobody has to see the inside of my building. Or the inside of my building. Anyway, hopefully that makes some sense. But again, taking too long. Let's go faster. Go, 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 go. Because I do want to show you that I really should actually make Escamia's t-shirt. He said he's gonna make a t-shirt that says every minute counts. And boy is he right. And you know what? I'm just gonna cover that up. And I'll show you, of course, how to make a wall. And in my case, I think I'm just gonna enclose it with a glass. After all, we have several floors. So I'm gonna take this one. We're gonna move it up 10 feet. That can't be right. Oh, that's because it's 14 to 14 feet, right? So if you have 9 plus 5, that's about 14 feet. So we'll copy it. Doesn't really matter. You'll notice that somebody asked me the other day, they were like, why do you just select anywhere? And it's like, I don't know, it's easier. Why be so calculated? We'll go with 15 for good measure. Seems pretty good. I'll show you how to do a foundation real quick. And keep in mind, I kind of want to keep some of these pieces in the right spot, right? Because I am just gonna flip it and make some vertical elements. Now, in my case, I don't need that or really scale figure anymore. But I still have actually a lot of these components. So I may want to, what do you think? Array it, right? I mean, who wants to sit there all day? And the X direction, I don't need any this way, but I do need the one that it is. So one. In my Y direction, I don't know, let's do like 20 at a time. It looked like there was a lot in there. And my Z direction, just one, the one that it is. So in my case, boop. And of course, make all of those. Now I can actually control the spacing. So like, let's say it was 4 inches apart or 6 inches apart. We can do four, I don't know, 4.5 inches. Enter and enter. Enter again. I don't know why I needed 3 inches. Usually I only need two, but that's pretty sweet. And again, I can make it my own, right? I could actually end up even thinking about something different. After all, I don't have to do everything the exact same as a precedent. Kind of, I don't know, it just kind of bummed me out. I heard out today that, somebody kind of ditched their design because they thought it looked too much like the president. That's the point, right? In fact, let's see how close you can get it, because I doubt that you can not make it not your own. You know what I mean? Anyway, so we got some pieces going. We got some ideas. We're gonna have to make the walls and the glass a little bit later, because everybody, sometimes has different walls. So again, I usually do my floors and then kind of fill in with the walls, as you kind of saw last time. Anyway, let's take all of those and I don't know, just give it like 20 feet or something. Make sure we get this guy. And I actually forgot what we needed this guy for. Dang, who are you? Are you like a mullion or something? Oh, it's a vertical component. Okay. So again, we'll leave it with the vertical components, but I'll kind of slide it down. It's like a digital drafting table, but cooler. So we'll take that. Oh yeah, I do want a foundation. We'll polyline it. And again, you don't have to do this if you're uncomfortable, but you do need something, right? Like a poche, some sort of rectangle. It's gotta be, it can't be on the ground, right? So again, we'll take this piece. Usually we can line cool stuff up. Come on, smart. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. I'll fake it till I make it. We'll go with like 36 inches. Dude, I said 36 inches. Man, I'm not very good at faking it till I make it today. Take that line. Give me the line, bro. Not you. You. Could have swore it's your line. Why are you having a hard time? I, oh, because I didn't draw a line in the right spot. Not now. Where's my line? Come on, man. Fine. You know what? I'll draw another line. Could have swore I drew one though. Again, I'm just kind of want to get that length. There we go. Move instead of trying to do the smart thing all the time. Take that piece. We'll offset it. I mean, another way to do this is more like a drafting table, right? So 24 inches, drawing lines one line at a time. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll just copy it, give myself some sort of piece. Fake it till I make it. So I'll take a polyline, or PL is another way to do it. I could do it kind of faking it till I make it. Right, so that's looking pretty sweet. Take that piece, mirror it. Again, at the end of the day, you got to draw this stuff, whether it's by hand or drawing it in the computer. I think drawing it in the computer eventually is a lot easier, but it does take some time. I know I go fast, but pause, right? So again, we'll get all those parts. Usually I'll just take the whole dang thing and trim it up. Trim, enter, and get rid of whatever I don't need. Sweet. See what I mean? I probably got some doubles there. Oh, or not enough. That's okay. I'll take this piece, join it, right? Because I do want that always to be a closed piece if I'm extruding. So join. If it doesn't join, panic. No, I'm just kidding. So now we got all our horizontal pieces and we got something that more or less will actually look like some architecture. It'll start to be, now that we have a section drawing, I'll literally take this into Illustrator, but I can also turn it into a 3D model. So let's take a look at it in three views, or at least a three-dimensional view. So right now, maybe the building's, I don't know, 40 feet long. So I'm going to extrude curve, 40 feet. What? So it's telling me not everything is actually closed. This is where I do want to select everything and close curve just for a, Hail Mary. Because again, you do want stuff to be closed. In my case, I just need my horizontal components. Make that easier on myself. Boop. We'll go back to this view. And that way you can kind of see what I mean. Extrude curve. You could also just be saying, bro, you're about to do a lot. Yeah, I'm ready. Anyway, 40 feet, looking pretty sweet. And for the most part, we just want to see if it's and make sure that it's closed. But as you can see, I've like created an entire building based off of this simple section. And you can too, is my point, right? But something like that, okay, well, now I've got some really intricate walls, but sir, it doesn't look like a piece yet. Well, I got one accidental vertical piece. Oop, let's flip over. My bad. So we'll take all of that essentially. And you'll notice if I go left, you can always change those things. In my case, I want to keep this the same. So I'm going to uncheck it. Use my gumball. I'm going to hold and shift to make it a perfect 90. And voila, we have the architecture. See what I mean? It's not as hard as it looks. I know I make it look a little easy, but I'm also just utilizing some of these views. And this comes with honestly practice and figuring out the way that I do it the best. Right? In my case, I probably want that equidistant. So let's do a mirror again. And again, I can use this side mirror, find my midpoint. Oh, I think that just is every time I went to the drafting table, like you don't understand, I'd sit there for like a good 5 minutes, like finding the midpoint, and I still wouldn't even get it right. I'd ended up actually making two circles, finding their intersection, right? So again, there's always arguably sometimes an easier way, especially when you're just learning. Sorry, my hair is all over the place today. But as you can see, I still have a roof to go. But that being said, I mean, we could actually do that kind of separately. I don't know. I'm thinking cool roof, and I'm more of a Le Corbusier guy, so let's go with the Le Corbusier style. I'm gonna take that piece, I'm gonna offset it, because you can't do this without like a roof, man. Let's go with 8 inches. Roofs don't usually actually have to be too thick. Or let's go thicker than that. 16 inches, that's a lot. Although if it's concrete, it's concrete. In my case, I kind of want the cool roof, and I'll show you, of course, how to extend these if you don't already know. But let's at least get one of them. A little bit of overhang in there. I don't know. It's looking a little banana-like, but hey, stick with me. We're modeling an entire building, both getting the section and drawing. And I think I'll pull stuff a little bit into Illustrator. However, keep in mind, I've done this plenty of times and arguably better in terms of instruction, I think. I'm really kind of doing this on the fly, but it's, I think, hopefully useful. We'll join it. And again, we'll extrude that piece too. Keep in mind, I just drew it in sort of a flat piece, so it's probably actually way over here. Yeah. Whee! It's always going to go to that C plane. And eventually you get used to that. Like, as you can tell, I knew exactly where it was. Extrude. And what did we do? 40 feet. So let's do 50 feet. And actually, I'm going to do, after I'm done with this, I'm going to bend it similar to Brandon's model, right? Because you got that hard curve. So again, you don't always have to make something curved, by the way. You can always make it straight and then curve it as well, as you saw last time with the bend tool. But again, for the sake of rendering, I mean, my gosh, that's already looking nice for twin motion. You know what I mean? Section model, section perspective. And keep in mind, I can also like finish that off, right? Like as if I could make another box. I could again, like this would be in the case of a section. Obviously, you gotta build the rest of the piece. I could show you how to do that too. But let's keep going, right? Because this part's pretty cool. I can take this, I can hold Control, sorry, Alt, if you're on a, why won't you let me? Do you have to select the object first? Is that what you want? Usually it's flashing at me. It's not a good sign. Well, I thought you could. Why doesn't mine work anymore? Basically, you push and pull it. I guess you could just move face in this case, or extrude face. Like for instance, extrude surface. You can take this one, enter, and you can extrude as much as you want. I mean, I was trying to do it the cool way, but it didn't want me to. So I'll take this as a trimming surface, trim, and click. By the way, Rhino didn't always do that in 3 dimensions. It's so cool that it does that now. You used to have to go to this view, chop it off perfectly. Anyway, so really great that we can do stuff like that now. Anyway, just throwing it out there because it's a game changer. But as you can see, it actually does put it as two separate parts. So if I wanted to actually make this one red and this one blue, like for twin motions, I would probably leave it apart. Right? That would be easy. I just change one surface color and change the other surface color. But if you do want to join them, I can't just type in join, by the way. It's just gonna kind of freak out and be like, hey, what do you want to join? In my case, I would have to use a Boolean union anytime that I have three-dimensional objects. And as long as they're touching, it should of course go together. Now, the line is still going to be there, but as you can see, you couldn't really see it in either way. What's next? Might as well get the rest of that structure, right? I mean, we had the cool little pieces going along, so let's get all of that. I don't accidentally want to get my pieces, and let's get the shaded going. Oh, where's the rest of my, there's my vertical pieces, I think. Are you vertical? Wait, I think that was actually my horizontal. Anyway, let's get the rest of the vertical pieces. And this is why it was so important to keep them in the same spot. I can't remember if I moved this or not, but let's find out. Boom. And look at that. We got a substructure, as they call it. But again, it just came from the picture, guys. I look like a mad genius, right? And even better, we can take these same two pieces, use another view, maybe not that view, this view. Wait, they're both the front. So set view, and let's go to the left, that piece, and there we go. You can also move things around in this view too. So again, keep in mind this, it does take time no matter what. But in my case, maybe I want to copy it every, I don't know, 8 feet. Man, I like almost nailed that. 16. Eventually you get pretty good at scale, right? 24 feet. As you can see, you can do that all in one swoop. Shoot, man. Looking like a cool model. Now, I didn't make these tall enough, so I could take those extrude surface, but I'd have to do that a bunch of times. So I might want to do that first, right? So I can copy the one that is already trimmed and ready to go. The stuff they don't teach you in school. Anyway, so we'll take this piece, we'll extrude surface. It's gonna be like, what surface, man? I'm gonna be like, I think I can actually do two. One, not that one. So I'll hold Alt. That one. It looks like I accidentally picked it anyway. No! Stop taking the piece that I don't need. In my case, you just have to press Control if you're on Windows and Command if you're on Mac. I will take those two pieces, spacebar or Enter, and I take them all the way out because, of course, I can take this and trim it. And if I wasn't talking so much, this would actually go a lot faster. So I do apologize. Well, Boolean Union, because who wants to do that over and over again? Sweet. Take that piece. And again, we'll do the copy thing or array. I mean, if you know the numbers, you know the numbers. If you know I mean, keep in mind, you have to know the numbers and the directions. So if you got a curvilinear building, don't do it, right? Well, you can also polar array too. Anyway, let's get those pieces. Let's just copy. As you can see, I kind of find the right view also to select something. That comes with some practice. Some of you guys, you crack me up. But I do like these to be perfectly spaced. So, I mean, maybe I want some more complexity to it. After all, I do need to fill this with glass and things. So, I don't know. Maybe I wanted to do something kind of complex. And you already saw what it looked like orthogonal, so. Oh no, I need some more. Whatever should I do? Now, don't get me wrong, these are already made. So why not just take a few that I need, copy. I'll take the one that I know is a true point. So like for instance, that endpoint, and I'll connect it to this endpoint, and I'll connect it to this endpoint. I'll just kind of keep going until I get to the very surface. And I probably have too many. However, keep in mind, you can't see inside of another object in Illumin or any of these programs, so done. Right. What else? What else? Oh yeah, the glass, emollients. So this is probably where I do, I mean, isn't that amazing? You can take an image, you can turn it into the section drawing, and of course the piece. That should be helpful enough, honestly, in its own. But I know there was tons more I wanted to show you guys. Again, there's just not enough time in the world. So you gotta remind me. Let me know. Maybe we should just write down a list sometime. Again, I can do it in class too. Honestly, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, still pretty open. If you're around from 8 in the morning to 10:30 on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm in the computer lab. Shoot, just I'll record it right there, and the computer graphics guys would probably laugh at you. No, I'm just kidding. You get what I'm saying, obviously. It's been a long day. I'm really tired. I gotta stop trying to be funny. I think these are actually supposed to be vertical. That's okay. Fake it till I make it. Where do you go? Oh yeah. Psh. I think they were supposed to be like that. We could take these and flip them. Whoop. Telling you. Sometimes you can just teach yourself geometry with these programs. Fake it till I make it. Actually, we do. We forgot that. It's like a truss system. So again, copy. I'm always holding shift, by the way. If you ever notice how I kind of directly move something across, always holding shift. Just hand is always on the button and off the button when I don't need it. But in my case, I would be a perfectionist and get those on a line just because I'm going to copy it over and over again. And if you make a mistake, then you're copying that mistake over and over again. But again, mine aren't technically aligned, but just for the sake of building something, guys, just kind of want to show you the power. So again, I'll take that piece. That's gonna hit us right in the head. And as you saw, I mean, you're like, where do I put it? Well, go back to the image, and I remember that it was actually, aligned with some of these pieces. I don't know. I should probably go to that one, right? Because there's actually a structural piece underneath it. And I probably should just copy that over again, right? But I don't want all these pieces. So again, I can hold Command and unselect something, copy, do it again. Fake it till I make it. I'll take all those pieces again. And again, holding um, Command on Mac, Control on Windows, take that piece again, and I'll copy it. And I'll copy it in this view. What's even better is I can kind of fake it till I make it. Pick a piece. I'm holding Shift, by the way, so that it picks a perfect perpendicular. Don't say that 5 times fast. So perfect perpendiculars. And of course, get that across. Oops. I guess I only had to do this actually 3 times. But as you can see, I'm getting way more detail than you actually need to, but I don't know, I want to show you that you can if you want to. That is very plausible. Anyway, let's get some glass in there. Let's get some mullions, show you how to complete the floor. Here you go. Take this piece, just make a box. I mean, if you're just going to get rid of that detail for the sake of, I mean, don't get me wrong, that could actually pan out really well with twin motions. But let's say we needed to just make a floor. Voila. And as you can see, we get to kind of keep the ceiling treatment. Right? So it still looks undulated. It still looks like we put something together. Maybe the lights go there. Just saying. Maybe the lights hang right here. Who knows? But it definitely looks like we have enough structure. This building starts to feel very plausible, right? Like I can hold our weight, I can hold some spans, I can even start to stretch it or bend it, do those kinds of things to it. As you can see, my computer is struggling trying to record this, but that's okay. We got a lot going on. I probably won't get the twin motions today, but I do want to show a couple other things. And yeah, that mirror thing, hey, kind of worked out. Obviously, it was just faking until I make it. But again, you can kind of complete the floor. But the next hard part, I would say, is actually windows and mullions. There is a good way, a bad way to do it. A lot of people just put a plane there. I get it, especially if you're just trying to get a screenshot and of course draw on it your own. That's perfectly fine. Um, but if you're really trying to get the materiality, the inside and the outside does have to be made. But hopefully, as you can see, it's not exactly hard. Um, we need some dimensions. So in my case, I'd start maybe with a 2 by 4. And let's draw that on the ground. In my case, kind of off to the side. So rectangle, enter. Well, I don't know, 2 inches by 4 inches, enter. Man, you got that wrong. Of course, it's always in the X first. But we'll take that piece. And I kind of just want to copy that piece over and over again. So I only need one. In my case, a really cool way to do it and fairly relatively simple is we can actually draw those pieces that we need. In my case, I'm going to start to analyze my layers. What I mean by analyze is organize is what I meant. So let's get all those little fin pieces because they're starting to get in the way. I'm going to call you fin pieces. Anyway, probably spelled that wrong. It's been a long day. Right click, change object layer, and in my case, hide those. All right, they're still there, but a little easier to see because I do want a rectangle that represents that glass so that I can either double it and I could use it actually as a sweep. So for instance, maybe you don't have a very easy window, right? For instance, maybe you have a polygon or some sort of uncongruent shape. So you could take this poly tool and just trace something. In my case, it's going to end up being a rectangle or a very bad rectangle because I picked the wrong point. Obviously, you want to pick points that are relatively straight. Right there and end it. But as you can see, I kind of want a wireframe, if you will, of that window potentially. Now, this doesn't mean, I have to do that all as a window too. Another way of going about it is after you get that piece, I'll just shrink it down into bite-sized pieces and copy. You could do this one at a time. Some people do all of it at a time and then mulliganify it. Again, I'm always building one part that's really kind of detailed and then copying that because who's got the time? Anyway, this substructure is also kind of in the way. So let's get out of the way. I'm going to take it, boop, and take it. You'll see that I'm kind of finding the right view in order to get all of it. Again, new layer, substructure. And this might be the way, honestly, the best way to organize is to actually just build it all in one layer first and then go back and colorify it and make sure you actually change it to the object layer. That happens all the time. But yeah, that way you can see that a little bit better. And this is essentially my one window. And I could add horizontal mullions, but I kind of want to get the basic frame of the window first. So in my case, I want to take this piece and you guessed it. I'm going to copy it. Maybe you didn't guess that, but I wasn't even guessing it. In my case, I want to take it and I want to put that mullion either on the inside of the square or the outside of the square. I'm kind of glad I have this camera now. I can use my hands. Um, but I'm going to take this piece and in my case, I'm going to go to the outside actually. So I can either flip that or again, just move it, enter, take that endpoint and move it over there. Again, I'm kind of dramatic about the movement so you can kind of see how I did that. But we'll take that piece and in my case, yeah, that should be good. Actually, I want to go on the inside because otherwise, some of the piece that I make is accidentally going to be in my wall. So we'll take it, sweep one. It's going to ask for sweep shapes. I had this one enacted, so it thinks it's my rail. So be careful. Always select your rail first, then spacebar, then your profile, spacebar again, spacebar again, spacebar again. And as you can see, it did not make the shape that I wanted. How dare you? That's okay. Take it, just move it slightly. That's, or actually, let's try something first. Sweep one again, rail, profile. I see why, because it's kind of like in the same plane. Check this out. As soon as it's not in the same plane, dude, where's my gumball? Bro, no, seriously, give me my gumball back. Stop flipping out. There we go. Okay, now it's really flipping out. No, come back. I don't know if you actually saw that or not, but I flipped out. Let's try sweep again. Again, just trying to get a mullion system. Sweep. Again, I honestly, as long as you master sweep, wire cut, I mean, the world is your oyster. But as you can see, voila, mullion. But it starts to look more like a mullion. Again, we still have that ability to rebuild something. I wouldn't waste it on the mullions, but that's looking pretty good. The next thing I want to do is possibly make some glass. So I could even take this piece, right, and extrude it. So extrude. And give it some thickness. How thick is glass? I don't know. 0.125 inches, which is an eighth of an inch. But I mean, you can get pretty particular, I mean, with the glass itself, the mullion system. I mean, it can get pretty detailed. I'd want to put that maybe in the middle. That way I kind of get a relief on, both sides. And I'll do the horizontal pieces actually all in one piece because, I mean, who's got the time? Copy. Also, if you don't want to accidentally move one piece and not the other, group it. A group, and then basically copy or array, whatever you prefer. Ooh, did I make a circle? Okay, clearly don't really want that from my mullion system. Why did I do that? Oh, apparently it was me. So we'll take that piece and we'll move that back. Holy crap. Is it like, why is it curved? I kind of like it, but I don't. Anyway, let's try that again. Somewhere it went wrong in my sweep. Is this curved? How did I make it curved? Let's find out. Select the rail. Bam. All right. Select the shape. Bam. All right. I probably simplified it in some way. So don't rebuild it. Leave as cross sections. My bad. So be careful, right? Not every option is a good option. Oh, forgot my glass. Come on, man. Oh yeah, I haven't drawn it yet. Oh wait, I have my rail. So extrude the thickness of glass, 0.125, which is an eighth of an inch, the size of your cardboard sheet. Yep, that's right. You could double paint it if you really want some nice internal reflections going when you use that, what do you call it, model? Dude, stop freezing on gumball. You're scaring me, man. All right, we got that. And copy. Hopefully you don't experience as many. Now, in my case, I do want this to double up, so I'm going to take it from this midpoint piece, like it flew off into oblivion, and I'm going to take another endpoint piece and another endpoint piece. And again, it's okay if they overlap. You can, what can you do? Boolean union turns it into one object, which is probably not a bad idea for all these extrusions. As you can see, I should have grouped them and probably got rid of the parts I don't need. But that's looking pretty good so far. Let's get that on the other side. Oop, copy. And again, we can stretch, pull, all that kind of stuff. Now, I do want to get the right point here. And if you're getting like, man, it's really hard to, again, zoom select, it could be done at any time. And arguably, doesn't always work. Get that piece. Oh no, what have we done? That's okay. We'll take that piece. We'll fake it till we make it. We'll take the entire piece, except that guy. Get out of here. Take that one. Boop. And we'll use our power of mirroring. Mirror. And since I do have a perfect square, I think. Oh, I don't have a perfect square. Oh, fake it till you make it. As you can see, don't do this. All right. But for the sake of tutorial, just kind of get the idea. We can really start to make an interior space, guys. Which reminds me, yeah, that I wanted to show you the cameras. I was showing Brandon this morning. But just in case this isn't, I mean, shoot, maybe I just need to build a little spot for, I don't know, an interior perspective. And as you can see, it only took a solid hour and probably 30 minutes if I didn't talk so much. But arguably, I got some stuff to fill in, but I can fake it till I make it. Just make another rectangle, fill it in. Who's gonna know? Especially if I was doing an interior shot. But the way to set that up, by the way, is typing in camera, enter. In my case, we'll show it. Absolutely nothing will happen because you can't see it until you're in another view. So I'll take that one and I'll basically move it, right? As you can see, it can get inside my building. This would be the stationary point, as you guys know who have taken graphics too. I would also set my point of my horizon line, right? Then I would also take what I'm looking at. Oops, don't take that guy. Make sure you get the camera. In my case. Of course, I don't want to change the rotation. By the way, you can't undo this for some reason. Maybe they've changed that. I don't know. They're always coming up with something. But in my case, I can also control it. And, well, to be honest, I can still control this too. So you can dial it in. just right for that interior perspective. I don't know. I want something a little bit more dramatic. That's looking nice. But yeah, that's looking pretty good. But if I did want it even more dramatic, I take this one. Oh wait, I don't need that one. I want the outside points. Dang, is that really the outside point? Guess it is. But as you can see, it's kind of like a vision. But make sure you get the right point. Make sure. Ooh, there's a drama point. You guys see that? Basically making it a wide angle lens, right? But again, just using gumball to do so. I don't know why it keeps going back to the state. Oh, just zoom in when in doubt. Holy! Now that is too dramatic. But as you can see, wow. Now this, if I accidentally move, it's gonna look crazy. Watch this. Whoa. Clearly not what we want. But, if I was going for super drama, hey, I nailed it, right? And actually makes the room look a lot bigger. But again, be careful doing something like that. I kind of do this on purpose because show you what not to do and why. Because, well, now this looks ginormous and that one looks absolutely tiny when they're actually the same. Again, this is what is so hard about cameras. But in this case, again, not a wide angle lens too much, unless your gumball freaks out like mine is doing. Can I edit undo? Again, I didn't think you could. Last time I checked, you couldn't undo camera. But in my case, it seems to be like snapping to something. Okay, now it's working. Clearly something's wrong with my gumball and, recording. But as you can see, now I can set this up. So I'll take the entire piece, guys. Check this out. Well, let's turn off our camera because it's annoying. Camera, uh, hide. And it's always there, right? But now I'm taking this whole piece. Check this out. I click on the viewport to enact this viewport, make 2D. You guys already know. Now this is actually going to take a second because I got a lot of pieces. And I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward this part. I can't. No, no. Keep fast forwarding. The thing is, I don't actually edit these videos either, unless I, I drop the camera or, have to talk. I have had to do that before. It wasn't recording, so I went ahead and talked again. Wow, Make 2D is taking a long time. There's a lot going on in there. And if I had hidden line, it's really going to take some time. But if you're screen recording, that's also going to take some time too. Keep in mind, a cold computer is a good computer. So I may want to turn on my fans. It's going to get a little loud. Max fan control. And wow, it's really taking some time. As soon as you turn on the fans, oh, they just needed some fans. Me too, bud. Me too. So we'll go over here because it always goes to our C plane unless you have your MiG2D turned off. Or maybe it didn't work at all. Let's find out. Dude, let's try that again. Peace. Um, Fan's going good. Again, click on the viewport, make 2D. Couple of options. In my case, I'm going to make sure hidden lines is turned off, and of course, group output. I'll hit apply. And usually it does leave it. Oh, okay, there we go. So we probably have two. Yeah. But again, I can put this into Photoshop and you can take a look at actually the last tutorial I did. It's a three-part series, exercise 6, where we just take stuff from Photoshop, put it in Illustrator, and put it in the Photoshop, all in one class, right? All in 45, arguably 55 minutes because I talk so much. But hopefully helpful, guys. Again, I remembered to do the camera thing, just to kind of recap. And well, I showed you to basically just how to model something, right? Also, potentially you could put this in twin motions, change the glass, and it's looking kind of funky, right? I'd probably want to take all these, for instance, and turn them into glass. I think you get the point about the mullion, right? Obviously, I can draw whatever I want. If I wanted a squiggly line, I sweep a squiggly line. I don't think you guys understand the potential of sweep one and wire cut, just extrusion. Oh, that is what I wanted to show also. Some of you guys are doing some wacko stairs, which is fine. I used to do wacko stairs too. But if this ever just starts to really bother you, just reset the camera, right? Or set views. I mean, don't get me wrong. Most of you probably have this little camera guy. And you can go back to the views. I've actually moved my part around, so probably delete all these actually. But in my case, I could set up some new views based on this new object that I made. So again, zoom select best friend because and you can go back to whatever, but also you can reset the camera. So set view. And maybe this needs to be said for a few of us. There is a difference between perspective, 2-point perspective, and isometric, right? So again, there's something cool about isometric, right? I'm not gonna lie. It's a parallel view, right? And it's definitely the best way to kind of get that typical. This is actually the perfect view for an exploded axon or the plan oblique, right? You do want it to be 30-60. I don't know who needs to hear this again, but some of you guys were doing exploded diagrams that were all over the place. Another good view for it, and this is again more of the money shot. As you guys saw, is the 2-point perspective. However, I just did those camera tricks. Those don't work on a 2-point perspective view. They work on a perspective view, and that's it, right? So keep in mind, if you're kind of messing with the camera and you're trying to move it and it's not moving, it might be locked on to a 2-point perspective. So you definitely want to check this. In my case, I can switch it to perspective, and that's kind of your typical view. That is pretty default of Rhino. Some people, especially engineers, they definitely actually stick to an isometric view, right? And they kind of, they go with that. But a 2-point perspective, I think most of us, it kind of takes some getting used to, because it does start to give a natural look. I mean, look at that. It's naturally dramatic. So again, that kind of locks on to something perfect. 2-point perspective is a stereoscopic view. We really do see in 2-point perspective. It just happens to be stereoscopically. So we actually, our brains are putting some of that together. Anyway, not to get all scientific. But we also went over lofting a space. Um, and again, possibly wire cutting that space. Again, what I wanted to mention is that I put this right back on top of my piece, right, and chop it, right, wherever I essentially got it chopped. Or I just cut it out like a wire cut. Anyway, not trying to make this video too long, but again, if you guys have questions about it, um, let me know in class. We'll just model it. I won't talk as much. It'll be great. Anyway, I'll leave it there for today. Thanks, guys.